Good morning, YouTube. Welcome to the Reptile Barn. Today, we are talking about Pancake Tortoises. So, we have O and Mendigo here. These are two Pancake Tortoises that we have rescued in the not so distant past. They haven't been with us that long, especially Mendigo. We're going to talk about their care today, all right? But I want to preface this by saying this video and any of our care videos are not meant to be a resource where you go watch that video and figure we covered every single possible thing about taking care of that species and you're good to go get one. Okay, that's not why we make these videos. We try and cover a lot of things, and we also sometimes try and highlight a few things that might not be widely known. But definitely do not consider these videos, these care videos specifically, to be all-inclusive for the care of whatever species we're talking about. Certainly not for pancake tortoises. We are not tortoise experts, okay? There are people who have been keeping tortoises for a long time. And we are not those people. So please, we will give you some good information here. We want to be helpful. We love these guys. We would love to promote better husbandry for tortoises in captivity, but we are not experts, and this video will not cover everything about pancake tortoises. One other thing to note, pancake tortoises, just like any species of animal, are unique. Please don't take this video and assume that you can just apply it to all tortoises. That is not the case, okay? A lot of things, of course, are going to be applicable across many species, but just assume that we're talking about pancake tortoises and extrapolate only carefully to other tortoise species, okay? So, let's get into it. First off, these guys are herbivores. They really don't have much interest in eating any meat-based anything. They don't need it for their health, okay? Now, in the wild and in captivity, they'll often eat eggshell, but that's more of a mineral boost rather than they need it for the meat calories, right? They're looking for the calcium in the eggshell. But pretty much these guys are herbivores. So they need a mix of leafy greens is kind of the base of their diet, right? Now, we're going to do another video talking about not all leafy greens are created equal. Just know that leafy greens like kale that are high in oxalates and things like that should not be the staple of their diet, okay? But a wide variety of greens, even, weeds, dandelion greens, things like that are great. They'll eat flowers. They'll eat leaves. In the wild, in the dry season, their diet does switch to be more grass heavy because that's what's available, right? They're from Eastern Africa, by the way, all the way from Kenya down to Southern Africa along the eastern part of the continent. So they like it hot. There isn't a cold season. There is a cooler season, but not a cold season, okay? So these guys pretty much year-round like a pretty hot basking spot. 105, 110 degrees, which is different from many other tortoises commonly kept in captivity. But these guys like a real nice warm basking spot. Good UVA, UVB, full spectrum lighting. Now, these guys aren't going to spend a ton of time basking, so it's good if a large portion of their enclosure or their run has UV lighting, okay? One thing with tortoises, pretty much all tortoises, if you live in a climate that allows for it, take them outside as frequently as you can, supervised, because a bird of prey will absolutely swoop down and snatch a little guy like this, okay? But outside time is good time. If you have grass that is not treated with pesticides, herbicides, fertilizers and things, if you just have natural grass, take them outside, let them spend hours out there grazing, running around, exercising. They do need exercise, and most important, getting natural sunlight, okay? I want you to look at the shells and the difference between O's shell and Mendigo's shell, okay? O's shell's in pretty good shape. So whoever had him before we got him at the rescue, the UV lighting was pretty good. His diet was pretty good. The humidity can affect while they're growing, especially the young ones need higher humidity. But even the adults, I've heard a lot of people say once they're adults, they don't really need any humidity. We have not found that to be the case with the people we have talked to. Even the adults benefit from some good humidity, even if it's just like a humid tunnel or hide that they can retreat to, okay? But these guys like to soak. They like the water. To me, it should not be kept in a desert climate, okay? This is not a bearded dragon type care. But anyway, back to the shells. Bendigo's shell is pyramided. I've seen worse, but this is not good. This means that the UV and maybe the nutrition and maybe even the humidity were not right, okay? Again, we don't need to take a UV lamp and blast it 1 inch from their shell, but they should get plenty of outside time, at least in the summer where you have a climate that allows for it, and they should have a good reptile quality UV light in their enclosure that's on all day, okay? Obviously not at night. That should go without saying, okay? They can have treats. There are lists of safe fruits and vegetables that are perfectly safe for them. But remember, out in nature, in the savannah, in forested areas, in scrubland, there's not going to be tons of sweet, sugary fruits all over the place on the ground where these guys can access it, okay? Certainly not, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, not in the cliffs and the very rocky terrain that they are often found in, okay? So all I'm saying is don't give them a lot of fruit. That's a treat for them, okay? Once a month maybe, give them a treat. That's fine. Even the sweeter vegetables, don't do it very frequently, okay? I'm not going to sit here and tell you the whole list of safe fruits and vegetables. Please, if you get a pancake tortoise or any other animal, look it up. Carefully scrutinize the lists that have been meticulously put together by very dedicated keepers. But most things that we can eat, they can eat as far as fruits and vegetables, okay? But just do your research, please, and mostly stick to the leafy greens, good quality hay. The Missouri tortoise food is good. The grassland tortoise foods, where it's more of a roughage, a forage that's, it's pelletized. It's turned into pellets. These are all good things, okay? But please don't overdo the sweets. It will negatively affect their health, okay? So, so far we've talked a little bit about food and humidity and temperatures and all that. As far as the temperature goes, obviously the hot spot, I should clarify this, the hot spot, a basking site, can be 105, 108 degrees, but most of the cage can gradually decrease from there. I say cage, it's a tortoise. They're going to have usually a run somewhere that they can really walk around. These are wandering animals, right? They're not like a snake that wants to just hole up in its burrow all day. Again, that's not accurate. Many snakes are not like that at all. But these guys should have plenty of space, okay? Currently, ours have like a 20-foot long run that's like 4 to 8 feet deep, depending on where it is. So they have lots of space, and they use it. They cruise around. They go looking for food if I haven't fed them yet that day. They like to exercise. We put in some sticks and branches and some pieces of slate so that they're climbing. I want to talk about their native habitat for a minute. They are mostly found in very rocky areas where there's a lot of crevices. So that means a few things. One, it's healthy for their nails. If you have some bricks, some slate, some rough stones in their enclosure, it's good for their leg muscles. They will actually start to walk incorrectly if they don't exercise their leg muscles enough. This affects their hiding spots, okay? They do like hides. Even very calm, confident individuals like these, they want to hide at night. Maybe they just want to take a nap during the day. Maybe they hear a sound that spooks them and they want to get back to their hide. A snake hide is usually something that's kind of like a cave, right? One little entrance, the snake goes in, they can curl up and fill that inside space. But look at the body type of these tortoises, okay? Very unique, even among tortoises. These are pancakes, right? These are pancake tortoises. They want to get pancaked inside their hides. So stacked slate or rock or whatever you're using is ideal. You want your hiding spots to be very narrow like this. Their vertical space should be pretty tight so that they can just crawl up and into their little nook and wedge themselves in there. That's what they want, right? And you can give them multiple levels. They're very good climbers. This does not look like the body of a climbing animal, but they are little monkeys, okay? Look at their little monkey legs. Very good climbers. So, please keep that in mind when you're designing their habitat, the types of things they'd like to hide in. I know that we have our ideas of what looks good to us, but their needs are more important than our aesthetic desires, right? And you can still make it look really beautiful when you give them, narrow, smaller things to hide in. Something of special note for this species in particular, pancake tortoises. The carapace, the back part of the shell, is solid and firm and feels of all of one piece, just like a typical tortoise, okay? The bridge, which is just where the carapace and the plastron meet, also totally solid and fine. However, the plastron, the underneath part of the shell, is not like most tortoises where it's totally hard and firm like armor. It gives, okay? So if you are holding your pancake tortoise, you apply too much pressure because you're used to holding other tortoises, you can suffocate them. Like I don't think this happens all the time, but I've been warned by multiple people that the underneath, and you can feel it when you're holding them. You can feel them breathing and it moves. It's a little bit disconcerting if you've held a lot of other tortoises before. So please keep that in mind, especially if you're handing this tortoise to a child. Their heart's in the right place, but they want to grab, they want to squeeze, they want to pick it up and turn it. Be very cautious with that. Just be aware the plastron is not as uniformly hard and firm as another tortoise, okay? A couple other things to note about this species in particular, and not only this species, I'm sure, but just something to be aware of. They do pretty well in groups. They are a sociable species. They get along well. They're not going to fight. If you have multiple males, you got to make sure you have a lot more females, okay? There's actually a lot of animals like this, where you'll have some people that are like, you can't have more than one male together ever, or they'll fight. It's not usually true with, again, depending on the species. But you do need to have a higher number of females than males. Usually at least a 1-to-2 ratio is what I've been told for this species, okay? So, but again, they're found in the wild in groups, okay? I don't know that they're really family groups, but they are found in close proximity, okay? And they're not going to fight on you. If you have enough space, you have enough hides, you have enough basking spots, you have enough resources, and you have enough females if there's multiple males, okay? So I know that's a lot. But if you want a group, it can be done if you're willing to put in the time and the space and the effort to make it done correctly. Okay? These guys are pretty fast. They're not tearing across the table right now. They're just kind of meandering, but they can get going pretty quick. So I'm being pretty careful to not let them just put off the end of the table here. But they can go surprisingly fast, and they can climb surprisingly well for a tortoise. Okay? So if you are building an enclosure and the walls have, anything that they could climb, they probably will at some point. So be aware of that. If you can't find your tortoise one day, it could have climbed out. That's never happened to us. I'm not saying that they're, like our tree monitors or something that can pretty much scale thin air, but they are much more nimble than you would expect from a tortoise. Other than that, this is full-sized. So these are not large animals, even at full growth. They're beautiful. There are a lot of variations in the shell colors and patterns. Not, crazy amounts of variation, but really gorgeous animals. There are people captive breeding these, so you don't have to get wild caughts. They do great. They're very used to us. They're used to being touched. They're not. See, he flinched away a little bit, but. They are awesome. We love our tortoises. We're not breeding these guys, okay? So if you guys are looking for captive bred pancake tortoises, for sale. We're not doing that, at least not right now. But there are people who do it. There's a Pancake Tortoise group on Facebook that you could look up more information, people in your area who might be working with them if you want, some more in-depth mentorship, or, if you're looking for breeders or something like that. Anyways, I think I covered everything. The only other thing, this is similar for many tortoises, use a lot of bricks and slate in their area. I think I mentioned briefly, it's good for their nails. It makes it so you're not going to have to trim as often their nails. It's good for them, right? It wears them down naturally. And this species is evolved for that. You're not doing something cruel to them by wearing down their nails. They evolved in rocky crags and cliffs. That's what their nails are used to, and it's good for them. It's not bad, okay? You can trim them just like a cat, just don't cut the quick. But anyways, we love them. We are grateful that we found them. It's a very unique type of tortoise. I don't know if there's anything blatant that I didn't cover. If there is, we can always revisit this topic. And we did this video in part because we haven't done a real in-depth video about tortoises at all. Not that this was crazy deep or anything, but we haven't given them much focus. And this video was actually requested. Someone asked for a more in-depth tortoise care video. We decided not to make it a generalized tortoise care, but to just zone in on pancakes, because not all tortoises are the same. Their care isn't the same. So we didn't want to make it sound like you can just do the same thing for any tortoise and you're going to be okay. So I hope that this is what you were looking for. But either way, we always love pulling these guys out. And they have been loving it this summer, getting a little bit of outside time. Hopefully we'll have time tomorrow to take them out again. The pancakes in specific, they need fairly warm. You don't want it to drop below 64, 65 degrees pretty much ever. But on a typical day in the summertime, it's totally fine to take them outside, even for many hours. So even us in Alaska, it does get hotter than the 60s sometimes. But that is all I have for you. Hopefully you are having a spectacular week. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, we're the Reptile Barn.